Friday is here. Hello there. Good afternoon and welcome to The Pulse. We're coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. We're on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air. You can get us on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. This is Joy News, independent, fearless and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon on The Pulse, the dream that was never fulfilled.
I will be returning definitely to serve my people. I lead and serve the people of Domi Kwabinya. And I've done that for the past 12 years, and I know exactly what my responsibilities are. And I'm definitely going to do that.
Unfortunately, that did not happen. More reactions greet President Akufo-Addo's decision to revoke the appointment of Sarah Adjoa-Safo as Minister for Gender and Social Protection. This afternoon on The Pulse, we hear once more the account of the embattled MP on why she's not been at post, and also tell you what Ghanaians have been saying on social media. And the mad rush for Ghana card. About 7.9 million people risk SIM card disconnection on Sunday. Many frustrated persons have been queuing up at Ghana card registration centers hoping to secure their cards for late registration. We'll bring you
Ashashi 2.5 3 years 3 years span so yeah why years spine.
We'll bring you the latest shortly. Also, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta reveals that there will be no further reductions in the charge rate for the controversial electronic transactions levy.
0.5.
I don't know where the number emanated from, but everybody seems to have it on their lips.
Yeah.
No, I think the key issue is really the issue of merchant to merchant.
And don't forget that the challenge is still on if you haven't heard about it. It's the Joy Jingle Challenge. Be a part of that challenge, but we'll tell you all about it. My name is Blessed Sogah. The Pulse, as always, is brought to you by Global Communities Dignilu, affordable, safe sanitation. Remember this afternoon that we're streaming live on YouTube and all of our social media handles. Feel free to join us. It's at JoyNews on TV. Twitter at us with the hashtag The Pulse. I'm Blessed Sogah once more, and welcome to the show. Also this afternoon, mixed reactions continue to greet President Akufo-Addo's decision to revoke the appointment of Sarah Adjoa-Safo. The president did not give reasons for his decision, but it's no secret now that Sarah Adjoa-Safo herself has not been at post for a while. The president, in announcing the decision yesterday, gave further directives on how the gender ministry will be run. So let's bring you excerpts of that statement from the presidency on reasons accounting at least for the decision to dismiss her and further decisions that will be taken regarding the gender ministry. We'll bring that to you shortly and also tell you what Ghanaians have been saying on social media regarding her dismissal. But a couple of months ago, as we do know, we got in touch with Sarah Adjoa-Safo and she promised us that she'll resume work once she arrives in Ghana. She's also been explaining reasons why she's not been opposed.
I will be returning definitely to serve my people. I lead and serve the people of Domi Kwabinya. And I've done that for the past 12 years, and I know exactly what my responsibilities are. And I'm definitely going to do that. But as you know, my son is unwell, and he has to transition to school. And as a mother, I have to ensure that all that is settled before I can resume my duties. And that's exactly what I'm doing.
So going by what you're telling me now, it's practically impossible that we may even see you by the end of the month.
With God, everything is possible. We've been praying. I've been doing a lot to support my children, which I'm required to do by law. And as you know, they're in a foreign land, and I have to comply with whatever I'm directed to. And until all that is sorted out, I have to do what I have to do, and then I'll return to my duties.
So we have to rule out. We have to rule out next week. So we have to rule out next week. You may not return next week.
If I'm served and I look at the condition and the circumstances right here, and I'm able to, why not? But I've not been served earlier. I told you that.
So let's go into the conversation.
And I know the rules.
Right.
And I've been a practicing lawyer for 18 years, and I don't have to be served through JoyNews. and I don't have to be served through a third party. And as we speak now, I don't think I've received any such communication or service from Parliament, and that's why I'm still here.
But this controversy goes beyond your absence in Parliament. In fact, there's a lot of reaction from even party members. You're a member of the New Patriotic Party. A lot has happened, and I'm sure that you've been monitoring all of the developments as well. But here's the opportunity for us to know your side of the story. We've heard from your party, we've heard from your colleagues in Parliament as well. What's the Ajua Safo story?
The Ajua Safo story is exactly what I've told you about, and that's what communication I have sent to His Excellency the President, and he's very much aware of what is happening to me and my family. And that's what I expect every Ghanaian to understand, that I am not intentionally abandoning my duties and my responsibilities. I have served the people of Ghana for 12 years. I entered politics when I was young, and I have done it. And there has not been any past record of me absenting myself like this. That should tell people that there's really something that ought to be done with family. And I know that you will put family first. So they should all start praying and keep praying for us. And I know with God, everything is possible, and we're going to pull through it.
I mean, everybody obviously would put family first, but that wasn't the narrative. Even from the likes of Kennedy Japan, who we understand is very close to you, these are persons who went out publicly to state that it appears you were intentionally refusing to show up in Parliament. In fact, they go on to give some chilling accounts of how, for instance, the Chief of Staff came to your office or your house just to personally plead with you to support your party. Why did you give up on the NPP?
I haven't given up on my party. I am still very loyal and committed to the party and to His Excellency the President. And I have had a record of the 2012 election petition from Domi Fabinger. That is what landed all of us in power today. And I will be the last person to put that fight, that courage, and that record that I fought for into disrepute at this time. So I'm not going to respond to third parties, what they think and what their opinions are, but I want everybody to listen to me. And what I'm saying is that I am still committed to the party, I'm still committed to the government, and I'm still committed to His Excellency the President and his family.
I mean, you are a politician, so you understand the importance of public opinion, the opinion of the delegates. In fact, your constituents also matter. So your narrative is also crucial. We've heard, for instance, that arrangements were made to you in the wake of the consideration of the e-levy, for instance, for you to appear in Parliament. Some tickets were flown out to you just to try as much as possible to get you to add to the numbers. You didn't, of course, listen to the leadership of your party, and they're beginning to get worried.
I debunk all that allegations, and they say silence is golden, because when people throwing stuff at you that are not true and you respond immediately, you don't make sense to the people. And that is why I've kept quiet all these days and months, listening to what everybody got to say. But what I know and what I'm telling the people of Ghana is that I had issues with family that I had to take care of. And that's exactly why I had to stay back. And when I had to come, I did come. And when it was out of my hands that I couldn't do anything about it, I couldn't make it. And that's what it is.
You're talking about the fact that the president is well aware of your condition. Is that possibly why he's keeping you at post as gender minister? Some have argued that by now you should have lost your job.
That is their opinion. The prerogative lies in the president, and he knows exactly what I am capable of doing, what I've done for the party, what I've done for Parliament, and he knows that I won't intentionally abandon my duties if I had no just reasons, and he won't allow me to stay for the family if he didn't know exactly what was happening.
So what do you suspect then could be the motive of, for instance, very high-profile persons within the NPP. For instance, you have the general secretary of your political party, for instance, coming out publicly to say the NPP was considering at some point relieving you of the party ticket and declaring your seat vacant. You've heard John Boydu say some of these words. How does that come to you, and what do you believe may be the motive of your general secretary?
I cannot speak to people's motives. What I can speak to is what I know. And what I know is I have been on the party's ticket for the people of Domikwabenya, and I have given the highest votes to the party. And I'm the first woman to lead, and I have led, and my words and my footprints are there for everybody to see. And if I have to take time off at this crucial time, and I have done, I believe that the reasonable people would understand. And I believe he's reasonable as well.
And we know that definitely, as you're indicating to us, you will return. But then the question about resuming your role as gender minister. We know there's a caretaker minister as we speak, acting in your stead. Will you take up the post immediately you return? Or perhaps you are considering resigning from post?
That is what you're expecting, or that's what other people are expecting?
Well, it's all about you in the end, because you say the president is well aware. So what will you do?
Exactly.
Will you take up the post once you return?
And since I haven't resigned, it's implied that exactly what you're saying is the truth. When I touch down, I am going to do what I have to do as a minister, since I haven't been relieved of my post yet.
So why are you failing to give the people of Ghana and your constituents the exact date that you'll return to this country? A lot of people are anxious, waiting to see, well, she says she'll come back, but she's not showing up anytime soon. When is Sarah Adjoa Safo returning?
She's going to return when issues with family are well sorted out. And that is not something that I can predict. And that is not something that is within my power. And there is a lot within the United States that I don't want to share. And we're talking about a child, and we're talking about medical stuff. And I don't want to put it out there, because even if you ask for it from the authorities here, they're not going to give it to you. And I'm not going to give it out in public. So everything is going to work out, and I'm going to come back and take my position. So whatever anybody is saying, I think we're in a reorganization mood in the party. People have interest. People have motives. People have things that they want to do. But I don't want to be the center of that. And I'm concentrating on what I asked permission from the head of state, the commander-in-chief, and the president of the republic that I'm going to do is exactly what I'm doing.
And of course, I recall with joy when you came up on social media with your daughter, sending that Easter message out there. You stated categorically that you were the member of parliament for Domikwabenya. That's what you said. But you were silent on whether or not you're still the gender minister. Do you still consider yourself as gender minister of the Republic of Ghana?
That is so petty. I didn't even know that. Because, there's a difference in our, with government, the executive power and the parliamentary duty that I have. And at that time, I had sent out things that I had to send out to the religious leaders in my constituency. And so that video definitely was for the constituents. And so I restricted myself to the people of Domikwabenya. And as the president of the republic, he will wish the whole country. So that's the difference. And that's the reason why you didn't hear me mention.
Right. But even the seats that you hold, the Domikwabenya seat, is under siege, as some are describing it. You're indicating to us that at least you've not been served. The committee may go ahead and pass whatever sanction it is that they intend to do. Are you not worried that you may lose the Domikwabenya seat, particularly as the Speaker of Parliament, who even belongs to another political party, could simply go ahead and say you've breached the 15-day rule and then go ahead to declare your seat as vacant?
I am not worried, because I am very, very prayerful, and I don't believe only in the physical. I also believe in the spiritual. And I know my Lord knows exactly why I am not there, and he's going to fight my battle. So as we say, and have always said, the battle is still the Lord's, and the Lord is going to fight my battle. I'm not worried at all.
Excerpts of the interview then, scores of Ghanaians have been reacting to that decision by the president. The president did not really give reasons for his decision to dismiss the minister, but obviously you do know that she's been away for a while. There are even further directives that the president is giving. We'll give that to you shortly. But first, let's take some of the comments coming through in that regard. Emmanuel Upoku-Buedu says that's a good decision from the president. There's also Kwesi Emmanuel who says not at all. This shouldn't even end there. Her emolument must also cease coming with pampered her enough. She must pay dearly for her unconcerned action. So that's the thought of Emmanuel Akwesi on this. Then we also have Francis Nana Opoku who says it's not enough for that to happen. She should be removed as Member of Parliament from her constituency too. Very harsh words in the ending there, ending parts of the message there, so we'll not be able to take that. Then there's also Jerry who says that the Saka himself should be sacked. So he's talking about the president. He's the biggest problem we have as a nation. There's also Kinsley, Mamle Ajay. Of course, Kinsley says that she has withdrawn more salaries without work. So can a poor teacher do the same in Ghana? No, we're living in an animal kingdom. That's the thoughts some of you have been sharing on social media. Let's bring you that statement from the presidency communicating the decision to dismiss her. There are further directives on that statement, some portions talking about what the future holds for the gender ministry itself. For now, we understand that the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Madam Cecilia Benadapa, will continue to act as the caretaker minister for the Ministry of Gender Social Protection until such a time. So it's not clear really now when the president will make that decision, but the statement is saying that until such time that President Akufo-Addo appoints a substantive minister, it appears that what will happen is that we'll have the sanitation minister retained as the caretaker minister for gender and social protection. Well, it appears that this problem goes beyond Sarah Adjasa for herself, because according to parliamentary watchdog Odikro, its analysis found out that some 33 more MPs should have faced the same fate which Sarah Adjasa is now facing. Let's bring you that list, which Odikro published earlier, putting out some 30 MPs. They talk about Sarah Adjasa herself, the Domi Kwabena MP, and Kennedy Ejapon, as well as Henry Quartey, who happens to be the Greater Accra Regional Minister. But beyond that as well, they're putting out a list of some 33 MPs in all, aside the 3 others who are referred to the Privileges Committee. And there you have it, portions indicating Ejenim Boating Kweku as well. You have Joe Garte there, Ajiman Menu Kweku, who happens to be the Doma Central MP and also Health Minister. The Information Minister, Kojo Opon-Nkrumah, as well, is featuring there, having missed some 25 seatings without permission. And the list goes on and on, including the Employment and Labour Relations Ministry. For those of you who are still interested in that list, you have Kaisel Atoforson as well, missing some 18 days. He is the ranking on the Foreign Affairs, the Finance Committee in Parliament. Derry Ambrose, who happens to be our Interior Minister, has been busy as well. It appears that he's missed out on 20 seatings in the House. The Education Minister has not been left out as well. 21 days off from the House. And Mahama Farouk Umar Aliu is also there, MP for Yendi, missing some 20 days. There's John Peter Amel, who happens to be the Railways Minister, the only seat in the Volta region belonging to the New Patriotic Party. That MP has also gone just a day past the mandatory 15 days. So you have John Peter Amel missing in Parliament for 16 sitting days. And you can see some more names there. Gifty Chum Ampofu as well, 17 days missing in Parliament. And of course, the list goes on. But the point of Odikro is that all of these 33 others or 30 others have to be hauled before the Privileges Committee. Well, I've been speaking to the Director of Special Programs at Odikro, Kina Likimani, who says that the issue of absenteeism has become chronic in Parliament.
I have no, we can only hope that in fact the seat is declared vacant, but I have no idea what the speaker is going to say, or what what this. I don't want to say it's a delay tactic. I assume they've reached some kind of procedural thing they need to sort out, but it's clear. It's clear because even being given an opportunity to address the committee was extended, and she did not, hasn't provided officially to Parliament an explanation. So it is clear. So we also think that a separate procedure should be put in place for the other 30, I suppose 29, because the other MPs on the list, the 29 or so on the list, to appear before the Privileges Committee to explain themselves.
Well, and some MPs as well have been reacting to this.
Indeed, all those people are actually absent for more than 15 sitting days of Parliament. The proper thing that would happen would be that they must be referred to the Privileges Committee, but that will be done only when those information has been properly brought to the.
I mean, he needs to be able to show us how he got those votes. I mean, clearly, I've not seen a document, and I'm yet to assess the document. But however, of course, if what he's saying is factual, of course, it's for the speaker to take decision on it. And so clearly, when if the speaker saw that there's a need for him to do such referrals, he did. So I'm confident that if what the decree is right, the speaker will look at it. But I don't think it's factually accurate. But some names have been banded around in there that I feel they've been coming to the chamber on a regular basis.
Well, it is good that whatever work that we are doing in Parliament, there is somebody watching us. So, if this is a true reflection, the vote and proceedings of the House would confirm that at the city, that is the imperative, those alleged names have absented themselves. Then becomes a matter of privileges. Then the jurisdiction of the Privileges Committee will then be invoked. Then the Privileges Committee is enjoined by law to listen to them, and it is incumbent upon them to justify the reason for their absence from Parliament. Going through the list, I realized that some are members of Parliament at the same time, ministers of state. So having regard to their schedule, they may have a justifiable reason why they have absented themselves for a continuous period of 15 days. But the issue is, in circumstances of that nature, you ought to have obtained the written permission of the Speaker. As to whether they have obtained the written permission of the Speaker before undertaking whatever work that has taken them out of Parliament for a continuous period of 15 days is also a matter for the committee.
Well, so some reactions there from the members of Parliament who have been reacting to the latest report from Odikro. But we do know that we're just 2 days away from that deadline. For many of you who do not have the Ghana card, you may have to rush for that. And many people have been queuing at registration centers just to meet that deadline for the re-registration exercise for the SIM card, which expires Sunday, the 31st of July. Now, in a bid to avoid losing their card, some persons have shared accounts of how they have had to push through the long queues to get their identification cards and also try as much as possible to get registered before the deadline. My colleague Michael Papantni Shali has been interacting with people expectant to get their cards today. We'll bring you, of course, that report shortly. But let's take you to the Ashanti region where a lot is happening as well. Emmanuel Bright Koiku has been interacting with some people in that part of the country who have been queuing at MTN registration centers as well.
My personal SIM card, I've registered that one. This is my merchant SIM. And before I was registering the other SIM, they told me that they are not yet registering these ones. So just recently that I had a text message that I had to come and register this one too, and that's why I'm not doing it.
All right. So does it mean today it's going to affect your schedule, considering the number of people over here?
Oh yeah. I'm supposed to be at work right now, but I have to be here. From here, I have to go back to work.
Monday mabaha, Tuesday mabaha, na nasuma mabaha, baba adwamu waha, ntina nana maaban.
Adena Tuesday and one chain na BBs.
Ana adwamu waha, don bebre waha, but na ha 6 o'clock na mko fie. Kana adwamu waha ntina mko yen, na nasuma maaban, na so kwa adwamu waha, so na de matwen.
Nti ene no oba ha be time be na afi.
Aba 6. Baba 6 o'clock. So I time I walk over 11. But I want to ya.
Let's just say they obey about affect you there now.
But
So that's the situation in the Ashanti region. Meanwhile, we understand that the Mobile Money Association, Agents Association of Ghana, have been asking for some extension. Joining me now is Charles Kwesiado, PRO for the group. Charles, thank you for your time. So what's really your concern about the re-registration of SIM cards? Many would expect that this exercise will aid your transactions. Why are you still asking persons to hold on to their SIM cards without an ID?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. We want to say that the government of the day is doing very well with regards to data collection. And as an agency body, we are more than happy that this exercise is ongoing. The essence of our happiness is that it is going to help care with fraud issues. Should anything of that sort even happen, we'll be able to get access to those agents who are doing such for the corporate. Aside that, it will interest you to know that since the implementation of the e-levy, there have been a significant change in terms of our business. A lot of people are not transacting with us, and the impact is so hard. If you could recall, the government, through the review, the budget review, the estimated amount for 6.9 million has come down to 600 million, and it should tell you that the volumes have reduced. So there are more evidence to us that we are struggling as a company or as an association. And therefore, the need for government to extend, because most of the people are not yet on the Ghana card. And as I speak to you, I was in Accra at 1 early morning, 5 o'clock a.m., to have first-hand information with regards to the happenings there. And it will surprise you, there are thousands of people in queue as at 4 a.m. So that should tell you that, yes, there's a gap, and the need for the government to extend it, because some people have duly registered for over a year now, they've not gotten their card. And I know that there are some people who are recalcitrant. Even if you give them 2 years, they will not still have it. But we are looking at the larger picture. Should the government extend it to 1st of January 2023?
But then, if you're saying the extension should be done, basically you're looking at next year, I guess. That's what you're recommending. But that's too long a time to push for the integration agenda which government is talking about, isn't it?
Come again?
Charles, I was just saying that that's too long a time, isn't it? If going by what you're saying, 2023, as you're calling for. It appears that we're having some challenge. Yes, Charles, if you could make the point again. I'm just asking about the extension that you're talking about and the fact that it should be moved to 2023. Did I hear you right? Were you saying 2023?
Yes, I'm saying that the essence is that by then we hope that the rush hour of getting access to the Ghana card have been dealt with. And if that issue is well kept or dealt with, then it means that we'll have majority of the people and we'll run on the mobile money ecosystem. And that will help.
We'll get back to Charles. Yes, Charles, your line keeps failing us intermittently. We'll get back to Charles shortly, just to get the reaction of the Momo agents. But my colleague Michael Papaniashali has been interacting with some persons who are hoping to get their cards today here in the Greater Accra region.
I expired. So I registered the Tigo. I registered like 2 weeks, last 2 weeks. I use the same Ghana card to register it. But yeah, about the MTN, they say has expired.
I think the expiry date is supposed to be on the back, on the card.
This card,
you did the card for 250 Ghana cedis, but it's been difficult to okay.
Ashashi 2.5, 3 years. 3 years can soon, yeah. Why is it expired?
Can I speak, Chi?
Yeah, I mean, feel free.
Sir, me brother, me I am the other. Na me yirini, na ne de no. Also ya ko register sim no. Ya ko me de fa ne de no, ya say emfa no say me ne ye nti no mo kire say yamra ha ne me ye. Nti ya sora ma chi be 4 o'clock. Ya fa ka ya be duru ha it be di line so.
You've been here since 4 a.m. What position were you at the time you came?
Is it?
Where were you in the queue? At far back?
Yeah, just we go here. No, we go here first. No, just down here. Then we direct from here.
So,
since about 2 months ago.
2 months. You've been trying to rectify the error on it. What was the particular error on it? Is it your name or date of birth?
The name. The name has changed.
So from what to what?
From Akwasi to Dabi.
Okay. So his name has changed. That only means that you've not been able to do your SIM card re-registration.
No, I couldn't do it because of.
And the deadline is fast approaching.
Yes, that's why I've come.
How does that make you feel that on Monday your SIM card is going to be cancelled?
I'm feeling very sorry. If the SIM card is cancelled, I will not be happy.
Sure.
Well, so you had the frustration of some persons there in the queues trying to get their Ghana card. Well, Charles Kwesi-Addo is still with us. He's with the Mobile Money Association agents. We'll talk to them shortly because there's a related development, because Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has actually dispelled rumors that government may consider a review of the electronic transactions levy. Now, experts have actually argued that for government to meet its revenue target, there would be a need for a further reduction in the levy from its current rate of 1.5%. Speaking on PM Express Business Edition, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says the cancellation of the e-levy is a no-no.
At the beginning, went through the country, brought it down to 1.5. Now let's look at the assumptions first, and then we will then titrate if anything else have to be done.
0.5?
I don't know where that number emanated from, but everybody seems to have it on their lips.
Yeah.
No, I think the key issue is really the issue of merchant to merchant, paying through Ghana.gov, agent to agent, the banking systems, exemptions, etc. Once that is thoroughly examined and we can figure out exactly what we can get from that, then we can look at other things.
So, I mean, it's on the table. It's not a no to that.
Everything is always on the table, but really, I think what we have figured out now is that the exemptions regime must be thoroughly analyzed. I mean,
you spoke about an exemption, and an exemption bill was passed recently in Parliament. How do you see this, or looking forward to this as a real game changer in terms of, again, the revenue mobilization bit as well for the economy?
I think we're losing somewhere close to 2 odd billion cedis a year. So imagine quite a bit of that being saved to add to our revenue bucket. That would be important. You know, so it's a whole series of leakages that as a society we've been used to, and now just beginning to clamp down and say the resources of the Republic must be protected. And that's what we do. And we can see how that crept into the e-levy through the discussions, etc. So those also have to be eliminated, and I think we'll be able to get that.
But are you optimistic about the revenue situation end of year?
As to what we have done?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, because we were very aggressive about recognizing compliance So I think it was about maybe 16.45 billion cedis, and we cut it down by about 10 billion. So that's how aggressive we are with regards to just the reality of losing those 5 months of revenue. And exemptions bill was just recently passed, maybe a week or so ago. So we've been really delayed in the revenue measures, and then the issues that we've had with e-levy, which we've now recognized. So certainly, in terms of the revenue outlook, we are very confident about that. I mean, e-levy is now, we've put in 611 million for it. You know, eliminate the exemptions, I think we'll be back to 600 million a month, and that will make.
Well, let's check out more from Isaac Kofi with our research desk. He will give us some perspective into the funding and the revenue measure and how it is faring on in terms of government's issues regarding raising funds in this critical moment. So let's bring in Isaac. We'll still go back to Charles Kwesi shortly. But Isaac, first of all, give us a sense of how the e-levy has been faring so far.
So let's start with what we call active mobile money accounts. So we've been tracking this from November last year when the finance minister announced the tax measure, and you realize that there have been cyclical movements in terms of the total number of active accounts that we have in terms of mobile money. And if you look at it, it means that between April and May 2022, active mobile money has dropped. Mobile money accounts have dropped by 1.57% within the period under review. Another thing we also looked at is the total value of transactions, or the total value of transactions we are talking about at the moment is around 77.4 billion cedis. Somewhere before November 2022, it started in the cyclical movement that we are talking about in the data. And so if you do the math for these indicators that I'm talking about, we've seen registered mobile money accounts, appreciating between April and May 2022 by 0.59%, active mobile money account dropping by 1.57%, registered mobile money agents being, also dropping by appreciating by 0.64%. But active agents at the moment, as we speak, is just the same thing. That's like we took between April and May this year. And the total number of transactions have dropped by 1.05% between April and May, whilst we have total value of transaction fairly appreciating by 8.4%.
How about the issue of the alternatives for government in terms of trying to expand and get more from this revenue measure? Is government helpless, or perhaps there's an avenue where it could improve this revenue measure?
Blessed, you know that government started, it proposed a rate of 1.75% in November, and then due to the public, outcry, it was reduced to 1.5%. In fact, the 6 billion or close to 6.9 billion cedis that we were expected to rake in by the end of the year was slashed to 4.5%. So it seems at the moment, a government is helpless because the e-levy was expected to be passed by February. They ended up dragging to May. We lost a lot of revenue. And so at the moment, government seems helpless when it comes to revenue, and then the e-levy at the moment. I'm not sure government will lower the rate, because at the moment, the 1.5% we are talking about can only bring in 4.5 billion cedis into government coffers till the end of the year, by the end of the year, actually.
So in the wake of the IMF decision, what role would this revenue measure play, really?
Important. It's good that government is going to the negotiation table with a tax measure already, because usually we see IMF programs proposing new tax measures. And so government went to the table with this tax handle already. So probably what the IMF team will be helping government to do is to help them with the collecting this revenue efficiently and raking in more in terms of being efficient in the amount that government is expecting, because the 4.5 billion we speak about right now is just a projection. in actual terms, it may be high, it may be less, or it may be more than the projection of 4.5 trillion.
Isaac Ofiaje, thank you. He's with our research desk. Charles Kwesiado is still with us. He speaks for the Mobile Money Agents Association. Charles, what's your reaction having seen these figures and the indication from the Finance Minister that the rate may not change? At least I recall that you were asking for some review to happen to this revenue measure.
Yeah, thank you, Kofi. Like I stated earlier, if you could recall, a month or two ago, I used this same medium to say that the government expectation will never be met because the education did not go down well with Ghanaians. And there are alternatives out there. And most people will want to succumb to those alternatives. So even with the 4.8 or so measure that they have, it is just on the table. If it will be realized, this same card registration will play a major role because most Ghanaians are using this same sense now. But till 31st of July come and those things are blocked, then you should know that the government is going to reap less revenue with even the expected amount of 4.8.
And then he says that, the Finance Minister, talking about issues of exemption, the fact that we may not see any significant changes. We know that you've been raising some concerns about merchant accounts as well. What has happened to the engagement between yourselves and the Communications Ministry as well as that of the Ministry of Finance?
Yeah, we were made to understand that come 1st of July, you will have one major platform for which all of the agents and the other telcos will all operate from that platform, and that will make it very clear for Ghanaians and agents as well to know that those measures that we put out there with regards to the cap and floor, that is the 100 Ghana cedi, and agent to agent, agent to bank, all those things will be used. But as I speak to you, there are still banks, some banks that are still debiting agents for pushing what we call the pull in and pull out. So we lodged that complaint to Ghana Revenue Authority, for which we were made to understand that those issues will be addressed. So still we are on the table with them. And we are hoping that by close of day, those issues will be addressed.
So what you mean to say is that even as we speak, many of the merchants are still having difficulties. Were you exempt, from the initial agreement that you had with government, or you were to roll on, be charged for some time, and then government will resolve the concerns?
Yes, we were made to understand that because it has started, there will be challenges definitely, because it's a system. And therefore, even before the implementation, we were made to understand that the system is 97% complete. So with regards to the 3% left, those difficulties were expected. But upon going on roundtable discussion with the Ministry of Communication and the Finance Minister itself, we were made to understand that come 1st of July, those issues will be addressed. There will be a common platform for which all agents and all transactions will be monitored for proper debiting and whatever that we call for. But as we speak now, some banks, we've lodged an official complaint to the Ghana Revenue Authority. Some banks, if you do pull in and pull out, now there's when you push your money from your agent account to your bank account, those, they need not to be any deduction. But we were also made to understand that every agent, by law, should link his Ghana card to his agent SIM. Okay, and those who were confronting such issues, we have educated them that they should do that. But as I speak to you, there are a lot of them who have not yet done that because agents are always busy. And today want to leave their fund and go to the bank and do it. There should be a way out that agents can access those platforms without walking necessarily to the bank because we are very busy people. And it is making it so difficult. But we are advising our agents across the country to do the needful because if you don't, it tells you that the government will eat up your capital. Anytime you do cash in and cash out or pull in and pull out to your bank, it means automatically your capital is going to be debited. And that is very, very bad. But
and that's also, just go ahead.
You are made to understand that when they are able to link their Ghana card to their agent SIM, then that will be resolved. So it's still on the table.
And there's also this issue about the cross-platform payments, making payments from either one telco to another, or someone who's using another network. It appears it's not been a smooth process in terms of the levy. Are you having similar experiences as well? And what could possibly be accounting for this?
Definitely, yes. I earlier stated that it is a system that we are operating. And one way or the other, there might be such issues powering up because systems are not 100% correct. So we are always on the table with government. We are in talk because we are partners. And all these issues, we are testing, we are using the system. We notify them that this is what is happening, and then they will take it up. So as we keep identifying the challenges as and when it comes, I think the government, through the Ghana Revenue Authority and the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Communication, will have a way out to solve it. And identification of the problem is a major issue in the step of solving. So we are using it, and we are identifying the challenges day in and day out we are encountering. And I know that definitely those challenges will be resolved.
All right, then. Back to the issue of the SIM card registration. Were you indicating earlier that you want the extension to be pushed to next year, 2023? Did I get you right?
Exactly. Yes.
That's too long a time, you agree?
My brother, it is not too long a time. The fault is not from the people. Most people, if you go to World Sports Stadium now, as I speak to you, there are thousands of people in queue. It tells you that they want to obey the government directive, but they are handicapped. They don't have the national ID. People are there who have already registered it for over a year now, and as we speak, they don't have it. And it is no fault of them. The fault is coming from the government. And I think that if you want to have a smooth system where all parties will do their part and have a very successful registration, then I think government has to play his part first by making sure the cards are available to people, so that you can allege that recalcitrancy is the order of day, and therefore this deadline will not be extended. But it is even good for the government itself. If you don't do this, it means its revenue is going to even cut short by 50%. Most people have not registered, and it is of no fault of them. So we think that as an association, we are in to make profit, and therefore when our customers are confronting challenges, it tells you that we are out of business. So we are pleading with the government of the day. It will be in its own interest, likewise us, to help extend it to January 2023. We are not caring about those recalcitrant people. Even if you give them decades, they will not register. We know that. But the government should be fair enough and make sure he do his part. That is with regard to the NIA. When people have their card, automatically, they will register. As I speak to you, if you could walk through the country, you know there are queues everywhere. It tells you the people are willing to meet this deadline, but they are handicapped with regards to the Ghana.
Some say you're holding before the telcos themselves, who may be challenged in terms of their capacity to register everyone who may be seeking to do so. Should we be blaming partly the telcos for this, of not making at least the process smooth enough?
There's no need for blame here, my brother. Government was not listening earlier on. Somewhere in August, they will put out a communique that this same registration, it is the agent body who is supposed to do it. We have the capacity. We are spread across the country. Anytime we speak, leadership don't take us serious. But every problem that we talk or we let it out there, they see that we are prophesied. We told the Ministry of Communication that this same registration, agents work, customers work to our end to buy these things.
Yeah, but you're partly being blamed for where we are now. Initially, when we introduced the law, requiring that persons duly register their SIM cards, you were selling pre-registered, and I'm not saying you in particular, but many of your members are selling pre-registered SIM cards. We've seen that, for instance. So you're to take some blame for what's happening now and where we found ourselves.
I earlier said blame will not help each other.
Yeah, but you agree. You're saying, so you're asking us to create the same problem. You were part of the problem initially.
Great. It is not as agent. And every system, when we are gathering data, you will not get 100% data collection. There will be foul in one way or the other. And therefore, you can't say that agents are selling pre-registered SIM, and therefore the fault is from the agent. Who brings these SIMs to our table for selling? It is them. So what I'm saying now is that agents should have been included to help in the re-registration of these SIMs, because the telcos don't have the capacity. Even if they have the capacity, do they have the open space to accommodate more Ghanaians. Go to the market areas, go to the lorry stations. It's now that the telcos are having a plan B to do this all-round registration. And it is not going to help us because the harm has already been caused. Government or through the telcos or the ministry should have trained agents with resources, with the technical know-how to help curb this issue of re-registration of SIM. They are used everywhere. And this, at this modern age, 21st century, need not to happen. At the comfort of your home, if you walk 20 meters away, agents are everywhere. And this issue can be solved. But better still, I think that the government, through the Ghana Revenue Authority, can also initiate steps for the extension so that the agent body will be added and then the telcos, so that we all have a very win-win situation for us.
Okay.
All, because
now, finally, right. Right. Finally, we're expecting the Communications Minister to address the general public on Sunday. What's your expectation as we wait to see what it is that the decision will be going forward?
As an association, what we expect to hear from the Honorable Minister is that she should align herself with us based on the press release that is out there, looking at the numerous challenges that Ghanaians are confronting in order to do the needful so that the government of the day can have those targeted revenue for developmental projects. So he should listen to the public. But that not necessarily means that he should agree to us with the deadline of January 1st, 2023. But I don't know the measures that will be put in place, but if they want to fast track it, there should be prudent measures done. And even if a month is added by themselves, I think the needful will be done. We all have a win-win situation.
Charles, I'm grateful for your time. He's spokesperson for the More Money Agents Association. Well, the Finance Minister has been speaking on more matters, including the free senior high school policy. He says that free SHS is under review. This contradicts the Education Ministry's position on the matter. You may recall that the GES Director General, Professor Opoku Amankwa, in an interview with JoyNews, said that the service is undertaking a review of the free SHS policy to possibly determine how much parents can be asked to pay. Subsequently, the Education Ministry issued a statement clarifying the position on the matter, that the program is not under review. So is it? Well, the Finance Minister on PM Express last night backed the GES position.
You're right. I mean, the issue, George, that we have to contend with is that that kid, by being a citizen, has his right for education. The moral right of the parents to look after them is all there, but that can be legislated. So me as a government need to ensure that that kid can go to school. Okay, we can now also, because we are getting more and more digitalized, I can find a means of knowing, assuming a means test, is what you are alluding to. We can be more scientific about that. And maybe because it's more digitalized, I can also get my income from you much more so than before. So yes, and if we have maybe scholarship schemes, then that means that you have to prove that you need scholarship. So we can get very sophisticated about that to ensure that you draw in parents in a way that is not coercive, but never compromise on that citizen who is less than 18 being able to get that education that is important. Because all of us really, given our backgrounds where we came from, if not for education, we won't be sitting here. And that really is a human capital that we need for this great Ghana that we all aspire to. So efficiencies will be looked at. I mean, in the end, if you look at the education budget, I mean, senior high school is not like, the tipping of where we want to go. But certainly in any system you have, you look at efficiencies, you find ways of making it more effective. And that, I think, we have a great education minister who is constantly tweaking these things. So it will get better and
so
better.
The review is on the table, right?
Review is constantly on the table, and it's just to make sure that the appropriate education is given, that wastages are eliminated, and that, it goes to give us value for money.
And thanks for staying with us here on the Pulse on the JoyNews channel. We'll return shortly after these messages. The Pulse. Now, the Deputy Minister for Information is urging journalists to take advantage of the Office of Coordinated Mechanisms for the Safety of Journalists. The complaint office was set up last year to provide support to journalists who may be attacked in their line of duty. However, for Fatima Abubakar, many journalists have failed to utilize the platform. She's urging journalists to resort to the mechanism anytime they feel threatened. The minister was speaking on the sidelines of the National Forum on Media Professionalism and Safety of Journalists, and there's more in this report.
A recent report issued by the international agency Reporters Without Borders saw Ghana drop 30 places on the World Press Freedom Index. The reports further noted many attacks committed against journalists in their line of duty have been left unattended to by the security agencies. In a bid to reverse this trend, the Media Foundation for West Africa brought together stakeholders at the National Forum on Media Professionalism and Safety of Journalists to explore the best strategy in dealing with these challenges. Deputy Minister for Information Fatima Abubakar expressed worry that journalists are failing to utilize the Office of the Coordinated Mechanism on the Safety of Journalists. That was opened last year to deal with the concerns of any journalist who may be attacked or fear-threatened while carrying out his or her duty.
For the past 1 year, we've been able to set up an office for the Coordinated Mechanism on the Safety of Journalists. As you heard from the NMC, journalists don't even visit the office to find out the processes and what is happening there, so that in case, in line of their work, there is any such violation, they will go there to seek redress. They don't even sensitize their colleagues and the general public about the avenues for redress. If you use your platform to educate the public that if I say something that you don't agree with, or if any of our reporters or colleagues say something you don't agree with, you can actually seek redress from the law courts, or even report to the NMC, who is more like a regulator and arbiter in some of these situations, so that people will not act based on impulse. People will not feel handicapped that because they don't have the platform to also express their side of the story with the prominence with which you made such perceived false publications, they take matters into their own hands.
Meanwhile, the regulator, that's the National Media Commission, says it is taking steps to develop a guideline to ensure safety of journalists. Alexander Banaman is a Deputy Executive Secretary at the Commission.
The NMC, in collaboration with media practitioners, is developing guidelines for the safety of journalists. With the collaboration of the Ministry of Information and UNESCO, the Commission is soliciting views to draw up the guidelines. At least we've been to two regions. And the rationale behind this consultation is to make sure that when the guidelines are out, the journalists will see it as theirs, not being imposed upon them by the National Media Commission. I know very soon it will come to your doorstep, and the expectation is that you cooperate, you open up. The Commission guidelines will be based on benchmarks of the UNESCO guidelines on safety of journalists.
The security of journalists is essential to ensuring their independence as well as effectiveness of their work. Tasha Michelle's report read to you.
And the University of Health and Allied Sciences in Ho has launched a scholarship scheme to support brilliant but needy female UHA students. The scheme, which was proposed by the family of the head of the Institute of Health Research of UHAS, Professor Margaret Japon, was named after their late mother, Madam Dora Gertrude Koi. Professor Margaret Japon donated some 20,000 euros prize for money for the person who will be adjudged the most outstanding female student in 2020 as the seed capital. The scholarship scheme was launched at the maiden edition of the Professor Margaret Japon annual mentorship program for female students and academics.
The Professor Margaret Japan annual mentorship program for female students and academics brought together students in the senior high schools and tertiary institutions. The mentorship program was instituted in honor of Madame Dora Gertrude Quay, the late mother of the head of the Institute of Health Research of UHAS, Professor Margaret Japan. It is designed to serve as a platform for young females to be provided mentorship and guidance to becoming people of substance in the future. The guest speaker, former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Energy and Natural Resources, Professor Esi Ewia, lectured on the theme, Harnessing the Potential of Today's Girl Child for the Future.
So you can do anything you want if you are really determined. The girl child has a lot of potential. She is very wise. So the girl child should not think that he has to depend on a man for existence. Please, men, you are very important, but I want to tell the girl child that you can make it.
Vice-Chancellor of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, Professor John Owusu Japan, urged young females to always aspire for the ultimate.
If some of us tell you our stories of how we have come this far, you have no clue. When I was in sixth form, and I mean sixth form, I did meat pie business. I was baking and selling meat pie all around Tema. When I was in Form 3, between Form 3 and Form 5, I was selling things on my head, in Tema. Nothing I know yet, bro, yeah, and they call you and then they buy. So make the best opportunity of what you find yourself doing, and don't think that anything is too demeaning for you.
The Dora Gertrude Quay Scholarship Scheme was also launched to provide support to female students who are financially handicapped in fending for their academic needs. Professor Margaret Japan narrated how her late mother single-handedly took care of her and her siblings, hence the honor.
If somebody had told me many years ago that I'll be standing here giving away 20,000 euros, I'd have told the person they are lying. But thus far as the Lord brought me, He has never given up on me, and I know God will never give up on you. So this is named in honor of my mother because of the sacrifices that she made for my siblings and I. You may not have, but you should be brilliant and focused. And these are the kinds of people this is for. So on behalf of my siblings, my family, my husband, my children, we make this donation to UHAS so that somebody out there who is struggling will be able to have some support to take care of them.
The Dora Gertrude Quay Scholarship Scheme has also received a $100,000 donation. Fred Kwame Asari, JoyNews.
In the education sector, Boyman Senior High School in the Jasikan district of the OT region has won the 2022 edition of the Energy Commission Renewable Energy Contest for senior high schools in the region. The contest this year was for participating schools to come up with clean cooking and food processing methods used for renewable energy technologies. This, the organizers say, is to bridge the gap between academic work and industry, and also to move the students away from the theoretical learning schemes. Peter Seno has more in this report.
5 out of over 20 senior high schools in the OT region participated in this year's contest. The challenge saw students from participating schools presented projects on renewable energy sources and the need to adopt them. The students also looked at how efficient and economical the concepts would be used by majority of Ghanaians when adopted. The ideas ranged from using sawdust to move the briquet as fuel, using cow dung to generate biofuel, using reflected sun as fuel, sawdust heat stove, and solar heat trap cooker. The students fiercely defended their projects.
Minimizing the cutting down of
solar cooker reduce producing because the sun is using the solar energy and we attract only the solar energy. It is smoke free.
The judges also drilled the presenters with questions to ascertain certain claims made.
Your solar panel, you are not connected. This is what you have, and this is what you use. And I'm saying that what is the purpose of your installation?
In the end, Bueman Senior High School emerged as winners with their solar heat trap stove. For the students, it was an opportunity to be creative and they hope to improve upon what they have presented.
The magic for us, introducing the solar panel system idea at the last minute, where you will have power being stored, not always bringing the solar cooker, not always bringing it out into the open, but then you have it installed on your roof somewhere, and then we have the solar cooker in the kitchen.
It's a little bit challenging based on the frequent practices we've made so far. That's the main reason why we're able to express ourselves today in front of the audience. But I think when we add a little push to it or add some effort to it, we'll be able to make it to the final. Yeah, I think what we have to do now is to now go and get some ideas on how to improve, or by using that same solar cooker, just attach some things to it, like the recommendation we did earlier on by the solar panel. So we just have to focus more on the solar panel in order to use it by the solar cooker.
Julius Nkansa Nyako is the senior manager at the Energy Commission. He says the challenge is to make students innovative in their approach to studies.
The Energy Commission has come up with this challenge to support the research and development of projects in our schools. And we want to help transform innovative ideas and concepts that our young students have in the secondary schools into actual products in order to solve some of our energy challenges. We've also realized that most often our young students would chew, pour and pass their exams without actually understanding the concepts behind the knowledge that they imbibe in the classroom. So it is an opportunity for these students to come up with various project ideas and research work to solve some of our energy needs in the country.
He also says students who took part in the contest across the regions so far have been creative. This, he says, is an attempt to adopt homemade solutions to energy challenges.
So we've been to 15 regions already in the country, and we've seen very nice, innovative and productive projects that have been brought up by the students. It's not every time that we need to depend on outside help or outside technologies to solve our problems. We know our challenges and we believe that we have the solutions in-house, and we are tapping these talents from our young ones to be able to solve our challenges.
Jeti Regional Education Director, who also graced the occasion, implored students to move away from rote learning to problem-solving ones. Peter Sanu for JoyNews.
And our residents of Amrahia are up in arms against the clay mining company operating in the area for polluting the environment with dust emanating from the activities. According to the residents, for close to a year, the company has allegedly operated without authorization and is polluting the area. Residents say the Environmental Protection Agency is yet to act, though they have petitioned them several times about their concerns. Journalist Samuel Kujobrace went to the area to assess the situation and now reports.
It started off as a complaint from one of the residents in this community.
Resania almost sober. Resania almost sober. A dime way and Kwalegum. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about.
So we had to come and check for ourselves how this is developing. This is Amrehia. It's a place where I'm told Dr. Kwame Nkrumah took from the family for agricultural purposes. So we have the dairy farms here. But as time went on, some people have turned this place into a place where they win topsoil. Now, because of heavy trucks, anytime they pass here, and because of how loose the topsoil is, it just blows away and into their homes.
We can't open our windows. The road and our building is just a stone throw, and we can't open our windows. We can't cook because my cylinder is inside. Risk, so we cook outside. Dust. I just gave birth to a little baby. She's only six months, and she couldn't breathe. She was just like asthma attack. It's very hectic. The road, we had constructed gutters, they blocked the gutters. We've taken videos of it. We started, we said we were doing, how do you call it, road speed ramps. Still, they came to remove everything, fighting us with land guards and all that. And also police, we've reported to the police station, everything. We don't know what to do. Because there are kids inside this house, shops around and everything. It's too much. They come even at night sometimes. Midnight. They start around 4. At times 2 a.m. At times 2 a.m. They'll pack their cars and the engine will be on, and it's too much. It's too much. Aside from the dust, the noise. Just look at where the road is and where my window is. The noise. When my baby is asleep. No, sorry.
If you look at the palm tree behind us, tells you how devastating this pollution is. You ask yourself, but for the palm tree, where would have the dust on it settled? The container in front of the palm tree, we are told, is a tailoring shop. Because of the dust pollution, the owner, Isaac Kofi, has stopped operations.
Somewhere last year, September, we saw some official cars coming to Daily Farms area there. A lot of them, when they come, they go. They came, they go. They came, they go. Unfortunately, we saw a bulldozer which came and entered the place. We don't know, they didn't inform the residents here. We don't know what is going on. Because when I came here, it's about 20 years ago. This way, nobody has tempted that area. We all know that it's a farm made by Dr. Sadipo Kwame Nkrumah. But unfortunately, they started digging the place, then the dust coming into our houses. You can't dry your things. When you wash, you can't dry. Our rooms are everywhere. The children, in fact, we are suffering. We are suffering. The cars in the night about 2 a.m. Then they start coming.
Sometimes they do all night.
When they started, they do day and night. And so sometimes it became only day. In the night, when they reach here, they will be blowing the horn. Then the noise of the vehicle will also be applying. They made bang, beep, 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 beep. Oh, in fact, we can't sleep. They disturb us. The children, especially the children. So this is our problem.
Some of the residents have been sharing with us their sides of the story. One man in particular said his wife has been complaining of sinuses since the beginning of the year, and they suspect it is as a result of the pollution in this area.
I live about 2 blocks away, and yet we have so much dust pollution in our house. Since the beginning of the year, my wife has been suffering from a sinuses problem with the dust inhalation. If you come to our house, the windows are all red. If you wash your car, by the following morning, it looks red. And I spoke with EPA, and clearly these people don't have a permit, because if they had one, they would have had to even erect a signpost with the EPA permit displayed. But as the people were telling you, sometimes they come and work in the night. So apart from the dust pollution, there's also noise pollution. In the middle of the night, you can hear the equipment and the movement of the tipper trucks. And it's just not acceptable. Nobody is preventing you from doing your business, but you have to also be mindful of the other citizens who also live here. And I call on the EPA to make sure they do the right thing. If they want to continue using this place, then they have to put gravel and on the road and also water the place as regularly as the EPA will instruct them to do.
All that the residents here are asking for is for authorities to move in and to ensure that this pollution is stopped. But when will this solution come? Your guess is as good as mine. For JoyNews, from Amrehia, I am Samuel Kojo Brace.
One of these regions, some residents of Kintampo are actually appealing to the authorities to try as much as possible to deal with the concerns relating to some issues of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee to channel its share of the nation's oil revenue into improving the municipality's town roads. They made this passionate call during a meeting organized by PIAC at the Kintampo North Municipal Assembly Hall to present highlights of the committee's 2021 annual report, which focused on oil and gas production. There's more in this report.
And Accountability Committee, an independent body mandated to promote transparency and accountability in the management and use of petroleum revenues in Ghana, has as part of its mandate to provide a platform for public debate for spending prospects of petroleum revenues in line with development priorities, held a public forum in Kintampo in the Bono East region. The forum provided an opportunity for PIAC to present highlights of its 2021 annual report, as well as provide citizens present the opportunity to ask questions and give their feedback to the committee. For most of the people present at the forum, their utmost hope is that the oil revenues is used to help improve the deplorable road networks within the Kintampo township and the municipality at large.
As a native of Kintampo, with the oil money, I would suggest in Kintampo we are lack of good roads. So I would suggest the oil money should be used to develop or construct more roads in Kintampo.
What I think the oil money should be used for is for our roads, because if you go into Kintampo, some of the areas like the areas just in Kintampo, we have a roads problem, so they should work on it. They should use the oil money on our roads for us. A lot of infrastructure too.
We have problems in our municipality, and I think the PIAC people, for instance, our roads networks are very bad. The New Longro Road and the Kadilisu Road too is very bad. So what I'm suggesting that we are suggesting that the PIAC people can, serve as our mouthpiece so that they can, talk about that, so that when the problem can be ratified, it will be, much enthused about that.
The committee used the opportunity to inspect some projects implemented with oil revenues across the Kintampo North municipality. Vice Chairman of the committee, Nasser Alpha Mohammed, expressed satisfaction at the quality of work.
Actually, out of the 4, we inspected about 3 of them. So we inspected the New Longoro Road, the Kintampo New Longoro Road. We inspected the Kadelsu project, the 3 classroom unit. If you look at those 2 projects, they have both been done very well. In terms of the road, when we take into consideration all the factors, we think it is a very good one. This is a road that has started since 2012, about 10 years today. Even those aspects that were done around 2012 still look somehow better.
Municipal Chief Executive for Kintampo, Isaac Bafo Amia, on his part appealed to the committee to consider the speeding up of works on the Kintampo New Longoro Road, as well as help assist the Kintampo Vocational Institute.
Dr. Chair,
They say that when one wants to speak to God, one needs to talk to the wind. I would like to appeal to the committee to speed up the works on the Kintampo New Long Road, and also appeal to them to also consider Kintampo Township roads, which is a major challenge to everybody gathered here in Kintampo. I am also appealing to the committee to intervene to assist the Kintampo Vocational Institute, that the TV school here.
The one-day forum brought together heads of departments and agencies in the municipality, civil society groups, non-governmental organizations, representatives of identifiable bodies, as well as some assembly members. Anna Sabit, Joy News, Kintampo.
Well, we draw the curtains on the polls here on the Joy News channel. I am Blessed Sogah. Log on to myjoyonline.com for updates on our stories. Next.